start.
Well, on the next video, Council Crest. There's a lot of houses here that could just about be here, same way for the bus. Oh, that might be fine. It's just film your 25 minutes and then get out of here. Alright. Wait, this way or that way? Wait, that way. I remember that the woman was sort of like in favor of some sort of thing. She later became like not so in favor of, and then she was just sort of like, it's like you got to keep talking with them because it feels like they're closing in on the place. And this is like the place that was like over there, and it was like they're closing in on the place, and it's like I feel like I got to keep talking at them, and it's just like I think she was sort of like I basically more or less agreed with them at the time. You know, when I was like actually like there, and then it was just sort of like, wait a minute, you know, is what we're doing like such a good idea? I'm not entirely sure all that was going on. It was just basically at a babysitter's. I always thought and felt even at the time it was almost sort of a thing like my other parents, and I think it was like Hugh and Linda at the time, were going to pretty much just be kind of out of the picture, and that this was like. It was almost like people were thinking about kind of an exchange, but it was like becoming probably. I think the woman was like, this place could wind up like, this deal could wind up being worse than like what you like left, and I think there was a thing where I think it was like, sort of did I have a choice? Not really, but I don't know. It was almost like presented in the way that I had a choice if I wanted to be with my old parents. I think like Linda and Hugh. Or did I want to kind of stay there with her? But she was just like, it might not last that well. She was like, for some reason, I don't have the bargaining power like I thought I was. And she said, you might be kind of better off with them. I think I like talked about it a bit with her. And then she kind of agreed with me. She was just like, you know, you might have better bargaining power. She was like, it just feels like it's kind of like, we're here and they can like sort of like more or less take advantage or something. And it was kind of a little bit kind of weird. There was a lot of stuff where it was like I couldn't leave for like a day or so here or there, even like outside in the front yard. It was almost like I'd wake up in the morning and it'd be like, is today a day where I can get out and walk around some? Can I go out and walk? And it's just like, you know, yeah, maybe a little bit. I think later she was just sort of like, you know, it doesn't really matter if you're inside or if you're outside. They can get you any old way. You know, they just want you to think that, it looks like one of the clouds. They just want you to think that you really actually had that like kind of power. And she said, I thought I did. You know, she was just like, and it's just not working out. A lot of it, she kept kind of going, she was like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean when I say these things? You know, because this is like some, you know, it was like, this is like some pretty adult stuff. And, you know, and you got to be like a kind of an adult to like figure this kind of stuff out. And she was just like, you know, you got a little bit of sense to you though. You know, and it was just sort of like, so she was just sort of like, you know, in a lot of ways, you might be even more smarter than the adults. She said that's a kind of clever thing that adults like to say every once in a while. You know, is like, hey, you might have more sense than the whole rest of us. She was like, you know, you might actually kind of have so. But she was just like, you didn't survive as long as you have in this thing without having like, you know, a little bit of sense. Actually, with Linda and Hugh, they were in my life back in the 50s, so it could have been even like then. And it reminds me of the scene, and it was a lot like it in East of Eden, where he like meets his mom, and she's just like, she's wearing all that gloves and stuff, and she's just like, maybe you're like me, you got sense. She was kind of like that. That's how she sort of was. She was sort of a no nonsense and no one tells me what to do and that kind of thing sort of woman, and kind of big and busty and all that kind of stuff. But she was also sort of like, after a while she was just like, I ain't as powerful as I like to think. He's running one of them homes over there. Okay, here's where the park is, I think. What the heck? I see like Portland, Oregon, Terrace. No. Terrace? No. Oh, must be the address here. Council Crest, half the stinking city council. Yeah. So why doesn't he trust politicians? Real unimagined. It's just like, what have you like? Why haven't you done anything now? And what have you like done before? Oh, now you don't really think. Well, I don't know. Other people do it. Yeah, that was like the girl. I don't like this, but I don't like that either. So, I don't know. Half the stinking city council. It doesn't look like it would be that much of a problem, but this is the kind of place where the weather can, like, change. It can rain for, like, 1 minute, even rather intensely, and then, like, stop. Here's where I went with Pops when we went to look at the tower. Finally made it, Ma. Top of the world. Well, it's probably not Salem. It's close to it. That were like Oregon. Why did you walk really, really slow? They're walking faster than I am. I caught that bird, I just didn't catch it on. I didn't even catch it on film. Okay. No, I think I found it. This is the park, right?
The Council Crest.
Yes,
The
okay.
road goes up in a circle like this.
Yeah, I'll get there and then I'll be like, okay, I'm done. Thanks. Okay, it's not raining. I got 10 minutes. This looks like I'm running out of houses too. Okay, maybe the road turns up here. Let's go for a wider angle shot. Now, there's a kind of thing where people can kind of get into, like, don't you think some of these people that you see, these nice old ladies and, you know, these sweet old ladies and stuff, you think they wouldn't be, like, involved in something kind of, like, sinister and stuff like that? And I'm like, well, if it doesn't involve them, if they're getting free stuff, like houses, or they're getting, you know, drugs, better living through chemistry kind of stuff, and they're pumped full of all sorts of ideologies, it'd be easy to sacrifice one person that needs to, and needs to get a little bit of rough treatment here and there or something to make the world a better place. It's just sometimes you have to make those sacrifices, you know, and it's just like, I just disagree. It's like my yellow sweater version. Looks like the same kind of blue on the matting. And the same kind of yellow, although it might be a slightly bit darker. Of course, when they first painted it, it was probably just about exactly the tone. You know, that kind of thing. And it's just like, I know, and we don't like each other, and we're adversaries, and I'm battling you. And people go, that's your problem. You need to stop fighting us because we know what's best. And it's just like, all right. You know, half the, you know, stinking city council, you know. I like the Japanese video, you know, it was their way of commenting. It's just like, you know, we talk with this person. That's why he likes us. He trusts us. You know, we say, we have the opportunity now, they got a gun to, you know, America and the UK, I think it was like Germany's head, and they could gas it all, and then that's it. And I'm just like, let's go for it. And they were like, well, let's just wait a little bit till you mature, then we'll know the decision you make is like a sound one or something. And then the next thing they knew, here had the ability to do it over there, like in China, and I guess probably much of the rest of the world, and then it was off, you know. But it's just like, why approve of that, you know, but you don't approve it when these people tell you, well, we could gas the whole rest of the world, listen to reason, you know, this is unsustainable, but no one's going to, like, gas anybody unless they have your, like, approval. And then we'll have here, your own people, your own culture, and all that kind of stuff. But I was just like, I don't like it here, though, and I don't like you people very well, you know. You want to, you know, torture people, or one in particular, and find them a item of interest or something, and then, you know, and at the same time we want to make like deals with this person. It's just like, it's just, you know, that's, you know, I can't trust, no, I can't trust you, but I also don't like your math. You got it, as far as I'm concerned, you got it all in reverse. Which sort of reminds me, this reminds me of The Gods Must Be Crazy. Like some of the trees, that road that I was on that I was telling everybody, talking about, there's like scenes in it that are kind of like that. Basically looks like nothing like Africa, but it's just like, it certainly reminds me of that movie. Okay, here's another road. Of course, a lot of these places are going to remind you of all kinds of different places. This reminds me of a fish called Wanda, you know, where they're on that one particular street in England, you know, and that guy, the Michael Palin guy, goes through all sorts of different calamities. It's a guy walking around with a camera. What are you going to do about it? I don't know what I'm going to do about it. think somebody said the worst they could possibly do, I don't remember who said it, maybe the two Jewish women in Kennewick, and it was like the worst they can possibly do is like arrest you for filming. And it was just like, they just aren't going to do that. They were like, unless they want a big show and have a lot of phone calls from a lot of people, and then it gets really uncomfortable. The whole Earth catalog, I remember Sandy Cole had that in when I was at 806 Pinebrook in like 1986 and 87 and stuff. And there was some naked girls in there. I remember the naked girls. Well, darn, I'm kind of like, should I go? Which ways did I go before? I have not been on any of these streets. I could go up there, but I think that's Council Crest, like right there. Doesn't this look like where I was just at? It's not, though. It's like, that's like all over there. This looks like you could run out of houses, but I kind of doubt it. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I will keep walking along anyway, though. Oh, I went down here. This is like, yeah, I remember this. Okay. I must have gone up that way then. Anarchy. There's a college called that. Okay, over here. Alright. There might not be much more road here. This is probably going to be over with in a bit. I could do some on whatever trail. I'm figuring whatever this does, it probably goes to, hopefully it goes to OHSU. There was sort of a thing about, I was going to be up in this place, the hillside there, and they might let me run around the whole like kind of mountain and have all sorts of fun, but she was like, probably actually not. Once they kind of know they got you, especially like inside your mind or something like that, they'll probably just keep you like in like one place for a while. She said they probably wouldn't necessarily get away with it. It was sort of a thing, like whatever it was, she was almost sort of like in favor of it until like, I got there, and then she started kind of having like second thoughts. I think she even said something like that. She was just like, they go through so many people that they think can do this, that, and the other stuff, that they're mentally and, capable of doing it. And she was like, they got a screening process, And she was just like, and they always have like these doubts about this, that, or the other person. And she said, I was like one person they figured they wouldn't have a problem with. And I thought they were right. And she was just like, that didn't even really work out. She was just like, very charming, and people have a charm. There's a charm about you or something, and it busts down everybody's defenses or something. Wow. Well, there we go. The yellow bike. We used to have an old yellow Schwinn bike. I got so many bikes stolen from 1106 Manzanita Way in the early 80s that eventually I had to like ride that around for a while. It was a lady's bike. It was all big and clunky and heavy. It had a bunch of like old electric stuff. Of course, that stuff didn't work anymore at that point. Well, I found the place where they're selling all those newspapers. You walking so fast, you probably are. Now, so much of this is the argument is like you can look at somebody and say, well, we have to, keep everybody safe and all that. And it's just like, why don't people look at you? And it's just like everything I kind of hear is like they don't like that at all. They go, hey, oh, that was Gary. Yeah, they pointing a cannon at you. Yeah, my sweater picture. Oh, look at that. It's like they purposely make a lot of these. I know they go down like the cliff, but you think they'd make like larger houses up here or something. With some of the views they got here, some of these views are worth like, $1 million or so, and it's like, you think at the very least they build a larger building. You even think they build like condominiums or something like that, but that would be a little bit too obvious. Like, why don't we just build a bigger building, pipe in the water from the Yukon, and then, move everybody over here like we should have done. You all should have done. A couple of 100 years ago. You won't do that, will you, though? All right. And you want us to be friends, huh? Well, not really friends. I think they just, that they want me to submit. I suppose. Exactly sure what it is that they're doing that they think is going to work so well. Wait, how much time do you got? Not much, like about a minute. And that should be just about fine. Okay. It's about time to go. Yeah. There's a squirrel.